Thor here. Today I wanted to talk about boat horns, so let's get this episode underway. So that was a rather unnecessary joke, in case you didn't notice. So in the world of boats, there is something called horn signals, and that signal that just played was actually the signal for a boat that is getting underway. So episode getting underway, boat getting underway. Yeah, just some fun there. I will go over some basic signals in this video, and then in addition I want to cover why a lot of boat horns don't point forward. A lot of them point down, and it's very hard to find it, but some boat horns even point backwards. So I wanted to cover that as well. So without any more taking up your time, let's get into it. So to start out with, the most important boat horn signal that you can know is going to be, at least in my opinion, you're going to hear 3 short blasts. So what that means is that the boat is reversing. It's really important to understand that a lot of boats, when they go into reverse, they're entirely blind. They can't see really anything behind them, and so that particular horn signal, you need to pay extra attention when you hear those 3 short blasts from the horn. Another really common signal that you're going to hear is 1 long blast and 3 short blasts. So that's going to be, like I said before, where a boat is departing, they're getting underway, and then the 3 short blasts is they're going into reverse. So you'll commonly see boats sound that signal when they're at the dock. You're going to hear 1 long horn and then 3 short horns. Those are the most common signals that you're going to have to deal with. Now there are some other lesser signals. For instance, you have 1 blast. That means I'm going to pass you on the port side. You have 2 blasts. That means I'm going to pass you on the starboard side. Never use these signals when you're around small boats, because they're just going to think that you're being ultra aggressive for some reason. But when you're around bigger boats that may not be able to see you passing them, it would be very helpful to go ahead and sound your horn, so that way they know, hey, this other boat's about to pass me on my starboard side, or this other boat's going to pass me on my port side. So one horn for port and 2 honks for starboard. So that's really important to remember. Outside of that, the only really important other signal to remember is if you hear somebody frantically honking their horn. Just they're beeping it like crazy. Honk, honk, honk. 5 or more times, essentially. That generally means something's wrong. They're in danger, or there's a dangerous situation going on, or something really bad is happening. I also consider really prolonged blasts. I mean, we're just talking somebody's holding the horn down for an extended amount of time. They're holding it down for 30, 45 seconds, or even minutes. They're just not letting off the horn. Then, in my opinion, that also means emergency as well. So those are some of the basic horn signals. I hope you found that helpful. So I was editing my video here and getting it ready to upload, and I realized I had forgotten one of these signals. So one of these signals that a lot of people don't know about is that sailboats and powerboats actually have 2 different signals for when they're going underway. So as previously mentioned, the one really long honk, that is a powerboat. Actually, that's for a powerboat that's going underway. Now, however, you might hear this, and you'll hear this quite often, is you'll hear 1 long honk followed by 2 shorter honks. And I'll actually use another YouTube channel that I watch, a channel called Sailing Uma. They use that in the beginning of every one of their videos, and it's kind of one of those things I wonder if a lot of people pick up on or don't notice. But anyway, so yeah, I'll go ahead and use them as the example. But I just wanted to throw that out there real quick, that if you hear 1 long honk and 2 short honks, that's actually for a sailboat getting underway. So one more signal to think about. Hope you found that helpful. So now I want to talk about horn orientation. So on a lot of boats, particularly like mine, you'll notice that the horns are actually pointed down. The short reason for that is to keep water out. That's really the short reason, but the main reason is because boats deal with a lot of spray, especially in high winds, and that spray will get up into the horn and it'll clog up the horn, and the horn will have to clear the water before it can fire again, or in many cases it'll rust out the horn and ruin it. some boats you will see have horns that are pointed forward, just like a car horn or a truck horn or something like that. And the downside to doing it that way is the horns just don't last as long. And then occasionally you see some really ridiculous stuff, like horns that are pointed up. I just, like in this photo right here, I so don't understand why they would point the horn up, other than they had no choice. So yeah, most boats have their horns actually tucked away somewhere inside of the boat under cover, so that way the horn isn't exposed to the elements. And in fact, they make special horn covers for horns to keep the water and stuff out. You don't see them very commonly, but they do exist. The other thing too is some boats, you'll notice, have their horns actually pointing backwards, and there's a really good reason for this. Going back to what I stated earlier about the, basically what in my opinion are the two most important signals, a boat getting underway and a boat going into reverse. Again, most boats really only need to use their horns when they're going into reverse. That's all they're for. So pointing the horn backwards actually makes more sense than pointing it forward. You'll get more projection and sound going behind the boat than you will in front of it. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people, when they really sit down and think about it, that is really helpful. The other thing that's nice about putting your horn on backwards, or even having a swivel horn, is the fact that you can avoid a lot of spray getting into your horn, and it makes the horn last a lot longer. So when you see a boat that has a horn pointing backwards, it's actually because somebody sat down and they really thought about horns for a moment, and it makes you kind of wonder how much more common sense they applied to the rest of their boat, because there's probably a lot. So there's not really much more I want to say on horns other than what I've kind of said. I hope you found this video helpful and that you will like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my subscriber base right now, so definitely appreciate if you'd subscribe. Again, this is Thor, signing out.